Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Offgrid and Connected. We are about to listen to a conversation I had a couple of months ago now, actually, with Agathe, who is a friend of mine who works at Earthship, so another in a long line of lovely people. But she is actually, with this conversation rather, is about a project of hers, or her project. It's not one of hers, it's her main project, building an orphanage in Mexico. And near, funnily enough, a place where I used to live in 2001, and down in the southern Mexico, Oaxaca province, on the coast. Beautiful location. And we talk about that and her experience and how she's getting ready for children in the not too distant future. So enjoy this conversation, and we will be back with more soon. So thanks for all the support, and thank you also for getting in touch when you do. It really is great to hear about people's projects and stuff going on around the world. So thank you, and enjoy this conversation with Agathe. Yeah, so today I wanted to talk, not very long really, but just wanted to talk about your project in Mexico.
Sure. The first building was a little shed that we used tires and like a simple rebar vault. That's the shed. That was the first structure. But then the second structure that is actually now a house, my house, it was an aircrate pod.
Oh.
So it's not an Earthship. But I did this workshop in December last year, 2018, and it was great. And it's actually very good. Like it performs very well because, the aircrate is just like concrete filled up with air.
Yeah.
And so it's insulation basically. So even when it's super hot outside, it works very well and keeps the area very cool. And it's always fresh and very nice to be in the dome any time of the day without any kind of ventilation. I don't even have a fan or anything, but I really enjoy being inside, even though it's very hot outside.
So how did this whole project start? How did the whole Mexico? Because I don't know if you know, but I lived for 6 months in Cauchy, up near Rio Grande, about 60 kilometers north of where you are, I think.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. So, not too far.
Not too far,
Yeah,
and it's a beautiful area. How did you find it? What happened to start this whole thing off?
I've been in and out Mexico a lot for some reason, because when I was studying at the university in England, I could do a semester abroad, and so I did, and I went to study in Belize. But Belize is very close from Mexico, and one day I just took a bus to Mexico, and I enjoyed it so much. Then after that, I just kept on going back, and I actually decided to write my thesis for my final thesis, at the end of university.
So wait, let me interrupt you. What were you studying in university?
I studied international development, and then I did a master degree in education and sustainability.
Interesting, because so a lot of similarities to what I've done in terms of I studied international development, well, I guess environment and development, and then I also went to Belize when I was 18 for 2 months.
Maybe I stayed there.
Yeah, when were you there?
I was 18 too. No, I was like 22, 23. And and it was super nice, but I really enjoyed Mexico, and I decided to write my thesis about indigenous education, which I don't know why we say it's alternative, because actually it was the education that was there before. But I went to the Zapatista village in Chiapas. There's a lot of Zapatistas, and I stayed there for nearly a year to study their system of education and to write my paper. It was cool. And then that's how I met Mexico. And then obviously I made a lot of friends while I was there, and I learned Spanish. And then I just went back to England because I really wanted to buy some land to build an orphanage, but I didn't know where at the time. And I just, for like 6 or 7 years, I just saved money. And then once I had £10,000 on my bank account, I told my friend in Mexico, and I told them, hey, could you guys look for some land around for me? Because, I would like to buy now. I think I have enough money to, buy something little somewhere. And then my friends, after 6 months, they were like, yeah, actually, we have a few places we can show you. So I went there, and then I chose from many different places. And I really enjoyed to be near the beach and in the jungle. So I chose Mazunte, and I could get quite a big piece of land for the price. So I bought 5,000 meters square in Mazunte.
So 5 hectares, wow. You bought the land, and then did you already know you wanted to do an orphanage, or is that something that happened? Okay, how did you decide that? What's the story there?
Oh my gosh, that goes back to a very, very long time. I just I don't know. I was like 16 or something, and then you always have this pressure to know what you want to do in life. Your parents always ask you, and I was really confused, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. But I knew that I needed to do something that actually, would make me want to wake up in the morning. And so one day I was in my bed, and it was very cold outside, and it was very cold, and it was snowing outside, and I was inside my house, and it was so comfortable, and I was under my blanket, and I was like, I don't think anything's gonna get me out of bed right now. And that's a problem. But then I thought, okay, what if, it was to do some music? And I was like, no. What if it was like to dance? No. Okay, what if it would be like to help people? And I was like, no. And then I thought, okay, what about, like, what if children were dying? Would you get out of bed? And then I was like, okay, probably, yes. I will get out of bed. So I decided that I should do that as life goal, right?
Yeah.
Because you need to do something, get you out of bed every morning. So I just had this idea, and then I just spent a lot of time in my life visiting orphanages everywhere in the world, in Thailand, in India, in various places, and in Mexico. And and then when I bought my land, I already knew that I wanted to do an orphanage, that's for sure. And then once I bought it, then it took me a few years to remake my money, because obviously all my money got spent. And then at the same time, I met with Earthship, so it was kind of perfect timing, really.
So when was that then? You're talking about a few years ago now, I'd imagine.
No, I bought the land about 4 years ago, nearly 5 now. But I couldn't do anything because I had no money. I just bought the land, and then I went broke, and then, I had to wait and be patient. And as soon as I had a little money, I decided to build.
So what have you built now? What's on the land now?
I have right now I have a shed where there is all my tools. I have a Aircrete dome, which is my house. I just finished an Earthship, which is gonna be the living room where the kids gonna eat, but as well, a classroom. And there is like a big kitchen. The greenhouse is a kitchen, and then there is 2 little toilets and a shower on the side. And now I actually got quite a big donation, and I'm actually thinking to do a second floor to that. And I also have another Aircrete pod started.
Cool. So when do you think the children will arrive?
I don't want to put pressure. That's why I'm private. I haven't registered as a non-for-profit, and I don't think I want to, because I don't want anybody to tell me what I have to do, how I have to do it, and and I don't know. It's just way more pressure when you're official, I guess. And like, this is my hobby. This is what I do when I don't work. This is, I don't want anybody to put pressure on me. But because now, I got a little donation, I'm thinking that I could afford to open in January 2020. And that's my goal now. So I'm going to try to work very hard this year. I'm actually looking to get Mexican paper so I can have a charity open in my name and a bank account, which right now got a little bit complicated. Yeah. And and then once this is sorted, I really want to open it.
Cool. So what are your thoughts? I mean, this podcast sort of talks a lot about off-grid building and stuff, but the other thing that I'm really interested in and want to learn more about, and I often ask people about, is community, because I feel like we're not particularly good at building community. We've all got extremely individualistic, and we have our 3 Netflix accounts per family, and there's something we're not doing very well there. But I'm imagining that with being an orphanage, you're going to have some people living with you, some people helping. What are your thoughts in general on community? Have you seen any really good, successful examples around, or?
Oh, that's a complicated one. No, to be honest, communities are complicated. It's very complicated to interact with many people all the time. I like self-sufficiency and sustainability because I'm thinking that, who else that children who has nothing to live in the world, needs that? Who needs free energy, free food and free water beside, children with no parents? So that for me, that was a priority, but the whole community thing was not a priority. What is important to me is to be self-sufficient, and I'm actually kind of, a little bit outside the village, which for me is something that I really like.
So you're going to be there with you're essentially a one-woman show, I guess, or are you going to have other helpers?
Not really. To be honest, I've had a lot of people helping me. Like there are some people each time I look back, they're always here and supporting me. And the more people know the project, the more people, want to get involved. Obviously, I work for Earthship. A lot of people like eco-construction, and a lot of people have very good skills and always happy to help. And I organize my own workshops as well. So obviously, I get to meet a lot of people that, are interested in helping this kind of project. And I'm never alone. It's actually hard for me to find time alone. If you give opportunity to do good things to the people, I think a lot of people, are willing to do so.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I know it gives people meaning, doesn't it?
Yes, and actually, so many people are willing to do it. Working for free for 2 weeks. Yeah, a lot of people would love that. And I realize if you give them the opportunity and be like, hey, you could help me doing this for 2 weeks, then they go for it.
What has surprised you about the project? Is that what's been most surprising? I mean, if there's something that you could have asked someone, let's say 4 years ago, or something that you wish someone had told you, is there anything that comes to mind that
it's gonna be okay?
Yeah, it's gonna be okay.
And you're on the right path. They are the two things, because sometimes you wonder a lot, sometimes when you just like have a building half finished and you have no more money and you have like, sometimes you can lose hope a little bit and you're really wondering why you're doing this, and but each time there is science that shows you that actually, it's going to be fine and you're going to be on the right, you're on the right way and everything's going to be good. And what surprises me is that, 4 years ago I was like all alone. It was just me in the jungle with my money. And now I have so much support. Now I just got a donation of $10,000. I had another donation of €7,000. And I have people following me all the time and asking me to come down and to help. And every time I meet new people, they all want to come down and help. And so that surprised me that, but it's nice. It's like that shows that, if you have determination, if you stick to something and you really want it, and then people see that in you, then they support you.
Wow. So how are you going to choose the children? How is that going to work? That must be one of the hardest things you're going to have to do.
For example, now there is few kids in the community. There is like, for example, 3 kids that are there, and the dad died, and their mom takes a lot of drugs, and she's not fit to take care of them. And they're now staying with a very American lady that has an hotel there, that is taking them once in a while. But she doesn't really want to, because it's not her children. She's just doing this because she has been asked by the community, but she already asked me to take over as soon as I'm ready. And because they are kids from the community, from the village that everybody knows, people want them to stay in the village, so they just need a house really and someone to take care for them. And that's probably going to be the first kids, these three children there. And then and then the social service always have a lot of children that they want to help. I went to the social service in Mexico a few years ago already. As soon as I bought the land, I went there and I asked them, and I said, "Hey, sorry, I'm thinking to open an orphanage, and I was wondering, like, what should I do for it?" And she was like, "Oh, actually, I have this little girl. She's 6 months old, but her mom burns her with the iron for the clothes. So I need to take her out of her house, but I don't have space. Do you want to take her? And like, she didn't even know me. And I was like, no, not really. I'm not ready. I'm just saying I bought some land and eventually in a few years, So I realized I was not going to get any, like, it's not an issue. There is a lot of children in distress. And as well, Mexico is a place where all the poor countries, like very poor, like El Salvador or Honduras or Nicaragua, they try to go to America via Mexico. So they end up having actually a lot of refugees and unaccompanied children trying to cross the border and not making it to America, and then, just hanging around there. And so, yeah, I think children are just going to come, I guess. Again, the right ones will come and, they will, I don't know. I trust very much destiny and faith, and I'm sure I find the right children straight away.
Great. And then how have you thought about the school side of things? What's your plan there with what you're going to
I would
teach?
like them to go to the local school because I want them to be integrated in their community. But also the school in Mexico finishes at 1 p.m. So that's kind of, that's kind of annoying for children, I guess, because, after that they just hang out in the street, most of them. And I don't think it's very productive. So I was thinking to have, because obviously now this Earthship I built is kind of big and it's a very beautiful, nice size classroom. So the idea is to have classes in the afternoon for the kids of the orphanage, but as well probably for the kids of the community, because I've been asked also to use the space. And the idea as well was to have maybe like a kind of a membership kind of system where people maybe pay like $10 per month, and then they will be entitled to come on holiday in the place for like a whole week for free. But in exchange, they have to also give class to the children for 1 hour a day. So it can be yoga class, can be computer class, can be, anything you know to do, you can teach to them.
Yeah, so like an open, well, not open source, but like whatever skills people have, they can come and swap that for some time spent in your place and pass on some of their skills. Sounds great. So it's gonna be but you don't want to put down a strict time, but we're looking at about a year or so, roughly.
Yeah, yeah, hopefully. I mean, I built everything from scratch, so before I can, and I really, really, I don't want to have a dormitory. I want every child to have their own bedroom. So that's why I'm making it a little bit more complicated for myself. But it's very important to me that every child has their own space.
Okay. So what are the next buildings you're planning then?
So I'm thinking now that I had this donation, I'm thinking to actually put a second floor into the Earthship and divide this second floor in different bedrooms. And I also want to finish the other aircrete pod that we started. And eventually that also can be a couple of bedrooms or, a guest house. And, we also need an office. And actually, I don't think I'm going to stop building for the next 10 years, just.
The aircrete, you mentioned a little bit about it being cool and everything, but what sort of decisions have you been making in terms of what you're choosing to build? What are the pros and cons that you've had on aircrete or Earthship or whatever?
Actually, I am also willing now I really want to do a super adobe house. And actually, my point is to, in order to know which building you like the most or the one who most adapted to your area, then, it's better to just build all of them and then find out which one works best for you. And I don't know, I was really skeptical about the aircrete situation because I feel like it's a very weak material, and I had to plaster on top and it's still concrete, even though you're using way less, like 80% less concrete because you mix it with air. I was kind of skeptical about it, but it's performing so well. Then I actually asked the guy to come back and make another one because I really, really like the way it performs. And I want to see how the Adobe house perform. And the Earthship so far has been very cool because it's actually buried pretty well. And so it's been cool too. So I don't know. I guess it depends of the material I can get and, you know, the speed and yeah. But I just want to keep building and experimenting until I find something that actually I'm like, okay, that works for me. You know, where I am and, you know, according to the climate and the speed of it. And as well how much children can understand it and eventually reproduce it one day. And as well is the system because, you know, aircraft may be great and perform and be, you know, amazing material to work with, but an aircraft dome is not an airship. You know, you don't have water harvesting, you don't have a greenhouse, you don't have, you know, solar, you know, it comes empty. It's just an empty shell. So it's different from an airship.
So the next thing is maybe the second story on the Earthship to get some more rooms.
Yeah, that's going to be done in March and April.
March and April this year. Cool.
Yeah.
Wow, I would love to visit for sure. I love that area. I love that area. It's just so beautiful.
Yes, it's gorgeous. That's why as well I'm really lucky because I can attract tourism. You know what I mean? Like people that actually want to travel but do things while they travel. For me, it's very convenient because it's such a beautiful place that, you know, I always get people that wants to visit the place and help. And, you know, so it's a win-win situation.
Totally, and it's on the main route, isn't it, down from Acapulco down towards Chiapas. So it's pretty convenient for people who are traveling through Mexico or going down towards Guatemala.
Yes, there is two international airports 1 hour away from Mazunte. There's Huatulco and Puerto Escondido.
So let me ask you a couple of questions that are a little bit different, not about your project. You've been involved in off-grid stuff for quite some time now. You've got your finger on the pulse in terms of what's happening. You've seen loads of different projects. Where do you think the off-grid movement is at the moment? Do you think it's gathering momentum? Do you think it's going to be an underground thing forever? Like, how do you see it developing? I know it's a big question, but maybe have a stab at it.
I've got the feeling it's probably going to stay on the ground. But I don't know, until government don't make it easier for us to do what we're doing, then it's looking like it's going to be pretty difficult, to be honest.
Yeah, it will need like a crisis where the gas stops working in Europe or something big to change it. Or, yeah, I sort of agree with you. But people do get passionate about it. Even, you know, I've given English lessons before where I've had people who just don't really listen, and then we start talking about this, and they suddenly become interested. So it's a subject that really grabs people's attention.
Yeah, because I think as well, it's again, you know, it's a basic need of human being.
Yeah, and then if you can,
so everybody has an opinion on the subject, but some people care and some people don't. It's weird. You know, like how actually when I did my master degree about education and sustainability, the teacher was very interesting because he was an ecologist and he studied ecology and environment for a very long time. And then he realized that he didn't understood why people would not be more interested and more into environment and nature and ecology. And so he went to take a psychology degree just to try to understand people's psychology towards environment and why people are not trying harder. And after doing 10-year study, he still didn't have the answer.
Wow, he just didn't find anything. He didn't find any sort of ideas.
Yeah, no, the only thing he's telling me, told us in school was, you know, the only thing that really works is positive reinforcement, you know. If you do good things and then you show people that it's actually easy and, you know, and it's more convenient for them to do good things, then they will. But otherwise, you know, you're not going to move people from their Netflix comfort life, you know.
Wow. I mean, I studied, when I was doing my thesis, I did it in what's called liberation ecology, which is looking at how the environment can be used to make people freer, essentially. But the impression I have is that we don't really realize that we're not particularly free. We're like that story of, I don't know, frogs or whatever cooking away in a ever increasingly hot pot without, you know, and we just don't jump. I don't know if that's true or not. That I'm sure it's an urban myth, but do you know what I mean? It seems like people don't really realize,
because people feel like they have choice, you know, because they can choose between Coca-Cola or Pepsi, so it's a choice.
Yeah, it feels like
So
that. And then it's not the risk of the unknown. I think that's something that worries people as well, to step out of what they're doing and take a risk. I mean, here there was an electric shortage the other night. There was a big storm and a tree fell onto one of the main power lines. And so the whole village here was dark. And I was just looking at it thinking, this is crazy. This is crazy. If these were Earthships, we'd all have the lights on. And
yeah, centralization is a very dangerous thing as well, I think.
What's that? Sorry?
Like centralization, having your water at the same place and all your electric at the same place. Because at the end of the day, if tomorrow the government want to make you pay the water 10 liter for 100 milliliter or for a liter, you will still you're still gonna have to pay it, unless you have your own water source. And, that's why we're not free. Because,
I hear you. Yeah, we're pushing down open doors, aren't we? I mean, some places have actually made it illegal to collect water, I think, which is seems like a bad comedy.
To me, this is like a crime against humanity.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Humans are entitled to water, like every other animal on the planet, and collecting your water should never be illegal. And even if it is, then people should keep on doing it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Or move.
Here, totally agree. So I'd love to follow up with your project maybe in a year's time or something, or if you have do you have a website or anything where I can put links so people can find you, and if they want to volunteer or something, they can get in touch with you?
It's easy. Well, we call the orphanage Joya, which means jewel in English. And so because we wanted people, to feel valued and, to have a precious place, because it is very pretty actually up there. And so it's called Joya Orphanage. And if you want to find us, it's www.joyaorphanage.com. And to email us is info@joyaorphanage.com. And you write it Joya.
Okay, cool. I'll put a link in the notes as well, so people are sure to be able to get it. Keep up the good work, Agathe. It's great to know that, especially being just out there not on your own. You said you have people with you, but I think a lot of women don't feel they can do this kind of thing, and I think it's a great example when people see that anyone can do anything.
It was a struggle. To be honest, I had to meet, for example, people like Kirsten. Kirsten, she used to be the director of the Earthship Academy. When I met her, and I saw that, this woman, all alone, built her own house, and then went to build another one, and actually, I don't know, it gave me so much power, because I realized, wait, I could do that too, and then I just went and tried, and I did it. And and actually I really like to work with women. And the last workshop I organized, my crew was made of 10 women and one guy who was actually Lou doing plumbing.
Yeah, I think it's great just to show people, and the balance tends to be quite 50-50ish when you go, in my experience, on builds. So that's really encouraging.
In conventional construction, you don't see women.
No, that's true. And because there's something different about this kind of construction. There's something that is more personal and connection based with doing it like this. It may not be the most efficient, but maybe in the long term it's more effective. People make connections, and it does bring women into the arena as well.
Yeah, and I think just, when people build something with their hands and they see the result at the end, it's very good, because humans are creators, and sometimes we get lost when we have, job behind a computer that doesn't mean anything, and we don't see the result of our work. I think it's very hurtful for your soul. And I think you give opportunity to people to see a result of their work, that empowers them a lot.
Well, I couldn't agree more. I used to build websites, and even if you build a great website, it still doesn't feel valuable somehow without being able to see something in the real world. And building a house and connecting yourself to nature by collecting water, even simple little things, just seeing water fill up your cistern when it rains, is a very fulfilling vision, a beautiful thing to withhold.
Yeah, and I like Earthship so much as well because, he taught me a lot about recycling as well, or upcycling, how they call it. And, like when I have garbage, but I definitely don't have any service in Mexico that going to pick up my garbage. So I have to deal with it myself. And, each time I make eco bricks and put them in a wall, it feels so satisfying for some reason. I don't know why. Yeah.
It's true. It's hard to know how satisfying it feels without doing it. So if anyone hasn't done it, then I hope they do it just at least once.
Yeah, I never understood it until I made my own wall with my own eco bricks, and I could see all my garbage in the wall getting plastered. It felt so good, but I never realized that I would have this feeling before. I don't know. It is. Yeah, you're right. If you don't do it, you don't know it.
Well, we're here to experience stuff, that's for sure. It feels like that sometimes. Books just aren't enough. But Agathe, thank you again for coming on, and I'm pretty sure someone will be inspired, and even if just one person's inspired, then that means, everything's worth it. So enjoy the rest of the build you're on, and we'll touch base at some point down the line, I'm sure.
Yes, and obviously you're always welcome here, okay?
For sure. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Before you go, or rather immediately after you've gone, please go down to iTunes, leave a review, help us grow, get more guests, raise more money for projects. We have other projects coming up. You can find news about those on offgrid.vision, where you can also get access to other shows and some phenomenal t-shirts which go towards, well, the profit of which goes towards new projects. If you have any requests for someone to come on the show, do let me know via the site. Until next time, thanks for listening, and see you soon.